She sat on the hospital bench with her arms wrapped tightly around herself, shivering not only because of the biting wind, but because her whole world seemed to have turned into ice. A nurse by profession, she had given so many years of her life to taking care of the sick, to holding the hands of strangers when they were scared, to standing through endless nights beside patients who could not even remember her name. But when her own struggles came, when bills piled up, when illness struck her family, and when tragedy ripped through her world, she discovered something cruel, that the same world she had served so faithfully had no place for her when she was broken. She had lost her job in a round of cutbacks, and with no family left to support her, the little savings she had were gone. She had spent her last few coins on a bus ticket to this city, hoping she might find work here. But the hospital she visited that day had no openings. By evening, she had nowhere to go. She sat trembling on the bench, trying to hide her tears from the strangers walking by, but the truth was written all over her face. Across the street, a man sat in a car with the engine running, watching the same world from behind the tinted glass. To the public, he was everything a person could aspire to be. He was a CEO, a man of power and influence, the head of a corporation people respected and envied. He had the wealth to buy whatever he wanted, to live in mansions, to travel in private jets. Yet when he looked at his reflection in the window, he saw a man hollowed out by loneliness. His wife had died 3 years earlier, and since that day, the empire he built felt more like a cage. He had a little daughter, a sweet girl with big brown eyes, who had been too young to understand why her mother never came home again. Every night, she cried in her sleep, whispering for her mommy. He would stand in the doorway, powerless, wishing he could take her pain away, but knowing that no amount of money could replace a mother's embrace. That night, he too was restless. He had been at the hospital earlier for a board meeting, and as he prepared to leave, he noticed her on the bench. There was something about the way she sat, small and fragile against the cold, that made him pause. Many times he had seen people in need, but this time he couldn't turn away. Something in her trembling figure, in her brave attempt to hide her tears, spoke to him more loudly than words ever could. He sat in the car for a few minutes, watching, torn between stepping out and walking away. But the thought of his little girl at home, asking once again, "Daddy, why doesn't Mommy come back?" pushed him out of the car. He crossed the street quietly, and she lifted her head in surprise as his shadow fell across her. Embarrassed, she quickly wiped her tears and tried to stand, as if pretending she had only been resting. Her coat was too thin for the weather, her hands visibly trembling, but her posture tried to show dignity. She didn't want to look like someone begging for help. She wanted to look strong, though inside she was falling apart. He stood before her for a long moment, his expensive suit and confident presence making her feel even smaller. She expected him to pass by, perhaps with a polite nod, but instead he stayed. His eyes met hers, not with pity, not with judgment, but with something unexpected. Recognition. As if he saw beyond the layers of struggle to the heart that still beat strong beneath the pain. In a voice soft but steady, he said words that startled her more than anything she could have imagined. "You need a home, and I need a mother for my daughter." For a moment she thought she had misheard. She stared at him, unsure whether to laugh, cry, or walk away. Who was this man, and why would he say such a thing to her? Her lips parted, but no words came. She had been asked for her skills before, for her time, for her compassion, but never for her heart in such a raw and honest way. Seeing her confusion, he spoke again, his voice carrying the weight of his grief. "I've watched you for a few minutes. You tried so hard to hide your tears, but I can see it. You're someone who's given your life to others. My little girl, she needs someone like you. She needs warmth. She needs love. I can give her everything else, but not that." Her own tears began to fall freely then, because in his words she felt something she hadn't felt in so long. Value. The world had reduced her to a burden, a woman who had lost everything, a nurse no hospital wanted any more. But here was this stranger telling her that she still mattered, that her kindness, her love, could save a child's heart. It was more than she thought she could bear. They sat down on the bench together, and for the first time in months, she spoke about her life. She told him how she had become a nurse because she believed in healing not just bodies but souls. She told him how she had lost her parents, how she had lost her job, how she had ended up with nowhere to go. He listened silently, his eyes never leaving hers, as if every word was something he had been waiting to hear. Then he told her about his daughter. He told her about the nights filled with crying, about the empty chair at the dinner table, about the loneliness that haunted their house despite all its grandeur. When she finally whispered, "I don't know if I'm strong enough," he gently placed a hand on hers. "Strength," he said, "isn't about never breaking. It's about still being willing to love, even after you've been broken." That night, something changed in both of them. She walked away not with money, not with promises of luxury, but with an invitation to become part of a family that needed her as much as she needed them. He walked away not with a solution to all his problems, but with hope that maybe his daughter's laughter could return. The days that followed were not simple. She was hesitant, unsure if she belonged in a world so different from her own. He too was nervous, afraid of placing his heart in someone else's hands again. But when his daughter met her for the first time, something happened that neither could deny. The little girl, shy and cautious at first, looked into the nurse's gentle eyes and, without a word, wrapped her arms around her. It was as if her young heart had recognized the love she had been missing all along. That embrace sealed what words could not. Slowly, their lives began to weave together. The lonely house started to feel alive again. The nurse, once shivering on a bench, now found warmth not only in shelter but in belonging. The CEO, once surrounded by wealth but starving for love, found in her presence the reminder that kindness heals wounds deeper than money can ever reach. They were two souls who had been broken in different ways. Yet when brought together, their cracks did not make them weaker. They allowed light to pass through. What began as a desperate encounter on a cold night became the beginning of a story where grace and kindness rebuilt what loss had taken away. Sometimes life doesn't give us what we expect. Sometimes it gives us exactly what we need in the most unexpected ways. He had been searching for someone to bring love back into his daughter's world, and she had been searching for a reason to keep going. That night, fate whispered to both of them, and they listened. And so, the man who had everything but love, and the woman who had nothing but love left to give, discovered that together they could heal not only a child's heart but their own. Because in the end, true kindness is not measured by what we have, but by what we are willing to share. And when two broken souls choose to give instead of give up, they don't just change each other, they change the world around them.